the Death, Taxes, and Bananas podcast. Coming in hotter and more ferocious than a banned social media app that I don't even want to mention the name of, because if I literally hear the word fucking TikTok again, I'm going to pull my hair out. I would actually rather stick a toothpick under my toenail and kick the wall as hard as I can than see one more post about TikTok being down. You'd think after what happened, it was like, I don't know, the government cut off the access to like oxygen or water, okay? And I'm sorry, people, but everyone's like, oh, people's job are at risk. Okay, if you work for TikTok, that's one thing. But if your entire livelihood depends on social media, you got bigger problems. All right, rant over. You can catch this episode, the full video episode of this podcast, on the Ringer Reality TV YouTube channel. The link should be shown right here at the bottom. So let's get started. Rules, never liked them. Never been my thing. Status quo, I'd rather let somebody else fight to keep it alive. So I, like my next guest, we've spent our lives going against the grain and just doing the unpopular thing, okay? Not for attention, not for approval, but because it's what we want and believe to be right. Consequences, backlash, be damned. Reactions, we're going to ignore them. Because now it's time to reach out, touch the third rail, fully charged and ready to embrace the sparks. So if you're here for a safe and predictable and comfortable listening experience, you've come to the wrong place. You're at the wrong podcast. But if you've come for the raw truth and unapologetic disruption, let's fucking cook. Because without further ado, the disruptor and chief herself, Mrs. Laurel Stucky. Welcome back to the podcast.
Thank you.
You think I teed that up well enough? Because I have a feeling, Laurel, I mean, this may come as a surprise to you. I have a feeling we may get a few comments about this podcast and you and I, chopping it up together.
Depends on what comes out of our mouth.
No, it doesn't. I think just the fact that like we're showing up together right now on the screen together, there's gonna be some naysayers out there.
Oh no, I'm shaking.
But you know what I've always said, and this is the truth. This is the truth on reality TV, on social media, in restaurants, Yelp. People who want to spread negativity and people who are angry are so much more vocal than positive ones, which is why I look at when there's a lot of negative comments, I'm like, yes, it seems like this is the only opinion out there, but it's because a lot of times the ones who are being supportive and positive don't have the same motivation.
But here's the thing. I don't know about you. It's like night and day. When I was at Magic Kingdom with Jack, people were coming up to me and being like, what's up, girl? I love you, or I love you so much, or freaking out, in person. The reactions are just so pleasant, so nice. And people are chill as fuck. And like the internet, if you're to read internet comments, it's absolutely ridiculous. And you know what I kind of tell myself? I have this favorite person and her name is Balin and she has Tourette's syndrome. And she has speaking of TikTok, she has like 1 million followers on TikTok.
His name's Johnny Bananas and he has Tourette's syndrome.
No. But even she gets hate and she literally has a condition that she can't control and people are saying she's faking it. And that actually helped me because I think to myself, because I love her. And so my reaction is, oh my God, you're my favorite. And she followed me. It made my freaking life that she followed me. But I'm thinking to myself, if she has people that are saying, oh, you made this up for attention, it's almost like click, click, repeat. Oh, it's the same person under the same commentary, saying the same thing. And so, with respect to internet shit, fuck it.
Let me ask you this. When did everybody on social media become a licensed therapist to be able to diagnose like personality disorders, because it seems like everybody out there is all of a sudden. And people love to throw words around like, narcissism and emotionally abusive and gaslighting and like all these like buzzwords. And it's like, first of all, people, you don't know, just because someone's an asshole does not make them a narcissist. Okay. Just because someone's a liar does not make them a gaslighter. And just because someone can lose their temper and fucking say some unkind things and, really just go, flame somebody, that does not make them emotionally abusive. It's just like, okay, yeah, this is just, this is just how people are. Doesn't need to be a disorder.
I think it's just what's out there right now. It's what people are talking about. And so it really, holds no weight. Honestly, I don't really want to focus too much on the internet. I'd rather focus on like, the just something else, anything else, honestly, because it's not something that I really want to put any energy into. Really,
the only reason I bring it up is just to address it out of the gate, because I know that this is going to be a very controversial podcast for a number of reasons. But I think it is important to, again, give, a voice to everybody, give everyone a platform, and let everybody just kind of, say their piece without, being interrupted that many times. I'll have a hard time doing that. So yeah, I just wanted to get that out of the way before we kind of get into it. So,
all right.
That's why we started out like that.
It's fine. It's part of reality TV, I think. And then also the nature of the beast is, just they don't know. They just don't know what happened. You know what I mean? So without the full information, you really can't speak on something.
And here's the other thing. And this is what makes, this is like the big, I guess not, this is like the big, I don't want to call it a quandary, but on reality TV, a lot of times the people who are the most vocal, the people who are the loudest, the people who are the most controversial and the most abrasive are the ones that make the show. Okay. But instead of fans or viewers or other cast members kind of appreciating that and understanding that, instead they are so critical. And instead of just looking at it like, okay, this is reality TV, they're making television, they then turn this into, oh no, this is the way this person is in real life. When all they have is what they've seen on TV, an edited version of what they've seen on TV, but then they take that as, as proof of the way this person must be in real life. When it's like, they don't realize, have you ever thought that maybe the environment that we're placed in makes us a certain way, the game, the pressure, the past relationships, and the fact that, yes, we are there to make TV. We're not going to shy away from the lights. We're not going to shy away from controversy. And I think that's, a big part of what, people are leaving out of the calculation.
Yeah. What can you do? I wonder sometimes, I'm like, what do the normal people think about the show? Like, if you ask them, you know what I mean? Like, or just even the fact that, the only thing that I get embarrassed about is like Travis Kelce and Taylor Swift potentially knowing who I am. That's what I don't like, because then I'm like, wait a minute. They watch the challenge. They should stop that. This is for other people.
No, they should not. No, Travis, my boy. I've known Travis for a while, way prior. Me and Travis were together before him and Taylor. Okay. So just so you know, we filmed in Boca at XPE Fitness or XPE, at this gym. It's an NFL gym. We played in the celebrity softball tournament together for the All-Star game in Ohio. And then he just goes and meets Taylor Swift and just forgets all about me. It's wild.
Yeah, she's big time.
But the Kelce brothers love the challenge, man. They actually talked about it on their podcast. So shout out, Trav and Jason.
Philly is wild as wild. So I feel like it wouldn't even faze them.
All right. So
if you went to freaking like a Big Ten school, this is what college was like.
Yeah. What? I went to big. So did you?
I know, but like we were crazy in college. So it's like Barstool. You know what I mean? It's like the fan base for Barstool and then the fan base for like Martha Stewart. I don't know.
Yeah. Yes, but you know what? There's a crossover there. I would not be surprised if Martha Stewart doesn't also watch the challenge.
Maybe. She's awesome. I love her.
All right. So last time we saw you dying, we all were, in a sand dune in the middle of Vietnam.
Yeah.
Any regrets about the way that you went out?
Honestly, Johnny, at that point, I was just so done.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I just really didn't have a desire. And, you know, I told Rachel before we started, I was like, I'm not even going to do it. Like, you guys just go ahead. And she was like, no, she encouraged me. She was like, just, start or whatever. I was like, I don't want to, because I just saw, okay, this is exactly what the final is going to be like. And, I don't want to win it that bad. I don't want it that bad. So, I mean, regrets after seeing that the final was swimming, anytime I do something like this, I'm kind of like, maybe, but then at the end of the day, there's nothing that I can do to go back and change it. You know what I mean? And like, if I'm taking the challenge seriously, then I'm taking it really seriously. If I'm not taking it seriously, then it's just like a mentality. It's a mind state that I'm in.
Do you feel like that mindset shifted though, as the game went on? Because I feel like early on you were locked in. I mean, you were so locked in that you were like, I'm going to throw a fucking challenge, get rid of Emily. And then it went from that to, I'm good.
Well, I honestly was just going with it. So I wasn't so locked in, but that doesn't mean that I wasn't going to do what I wanted to do, even though I wasn't. Like in my head, when we did the first challenge, I was like, right before we started, it was weird. I've never like felt this way.
Teacups, the teacups in the water.
I was just standing there being like, I do not want to run right now. Mm-hmm. I do not want to like start this. This is not what I want to be doing. Like I didn't have any nerves. I didn't have any feelings or anything. It was so weird. And then I just kind of kept going with it and not getting sent into an elimination and not like.
Do you think really, that was an environmental thing? Do you think the way you felt like that was because of where we were at? Or do you think it was just, I don't know, like a layover from All-Stars, maybe coming off your win, you didn't feel that motivated? Like, what do you think that was? Do you feel like that showing up, or was that something that you started feeling once you got there?
Well, usually when I win a season, I don't come on the next season.
Mm-hmm.
And so I wasn't really planning on going on this season. The only reason I went on this season was because it was Challenge 40, mm-hmm. big number. And I've skipped I skipped Dirty 30 and, they made it sound like it was going to be a big thing. And I went half in.
Mm-hmm.
And, being who I am, I can still move. I can move things. Do you know what I mean? Even if I'm working at 25%.
Mm-hmm.
And so and I was out of shape too. You know what I mean? Like I came in out of shape. My mind wasn't really right to compete. I had just won a season, and I was saying this the entire time in my interviews, saying like, I'm not greedy. Like, I'm kind of just floating, sitting here. I just won $250,000. Like, in my head, I was kind of like, let's just see what happens. I was literally going moment to moment. And, I just felt so differently on this season. And sometimes I do when I come on the challenge and sometimes I don't. And, I think that is, okay. It's okay for me to not want to, because it takes a lot of focus. It takes a lot of like mental strength. It takes a lot of tolerating things that you don't want to tolerate to win a challenge. It really does.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like just physical, you know? And so I didn't want to do that this time around. And especially when it was the challenge that was just literally torturous, and I just wanted to chill. And so
on your way out, all right, because this has to be addressed. On your way out, you made sure to leave, some poison pills behind. One of them giving. Were you confused on how the karma vote worked? Like you thought maybe like 1 was the highest, 5 was the lowest. You thought it was like a golf score, like the lowest wins. Because and again, we've never fully addressed this. We addressed other things, but on your way out, what was your reasoning? Because I'm curious, as well as probably a lot of people listening are, for giving me a 1 after all that we had been through this season and prior seasons. And the fact that I felt like I really did put my game and your game kind of in the same position and really went to bat for you a lot of times. So that's why for me, I was kind of taken aback when I saw that.
Yeah. Well, just, I told you this, but through the grapevine, you did your podcast on the season, and, I heard that you made a deal with basically some people that I wasn't working with. And I figured, I figured you play the game. And so, that was a deal that you made, and that you weren't, at the end of the day, you were going to work with someone else over me. And then I started thinking about, prioritization in terms of, who we were working with, in terms of girls, and how many girls you had. And I just figured I was not, at the top of your list. And then when I heard about the deal, I figured, okay, that really cuts the ties between him and I. And so I gave you a 1 for that specifically, just because I felt you were going to do what was good for you, which I don't fault you for.
Do you still believe all this to be true? Just the 2 points I want to make. 1, you're sitting here being like, oh, well, you had all these girls that you were dealing with. Laurel, that's my entire life. Okay. My life revolves juggling girls. So I've actually gotten pretty good at it. Okay. And actually, this was a pretty simple task compared to what I have to deal with in the outside world. 1. 2, I want to know where this information was disseminated from about me and Cara Maria having this deal. Like, who brought this to you? Who told you this? And if these were concerns of yours, like, I felt like you and I were very open, very honest, very upfront this entire season about our games, because we had to be, because we both did some fucking dirt in this season and past seasons. So I thought if anybody would have been able to kind of come up to me and be open and be honest, and me be honest back, it would have been you. So if these were valid concerns of yours, why didn't you ever voice them to me when you were still in the house, so I could have set the record straight?
Yeah. That's the one thing that I did wrong, was not communicating. But at that point, I was shut down. That was after everything had,
Who
happened.
told you, but by the way, who was it that told you that I had this fucking secret deal with Cara?
I don't remember, if they could, whoever it was, if they could remind me, that would be great. But I mean, it made sense. I know you did. I know you went and did. We had
yes, we did a podcast. And Laurel, okay, you just got to look at this situation. Like, obviously, you got to look at the way the game was shaking down. You got to look at the way the numbers were shaking down. I was nowhere near the top of Cara Maria's list of people that she was going to save. She was basically going to save every single guy in the house above me. Okay. Now, when the podcast, when we did it, was literally the first week we were there. And yes, I did say that, but it was as a joke. It was like, all right, Bananas, I'll do your podcast if you promise to never say my name. That was not going to happen. Yeah. And you saw, yes, I didn't not say her name once. I said Naya instead of her. But for you or anyone else to think that I would have said her before or after any one of either you, Aviv, Jenny, Rachel is just crazy. And I just find it funny that someone was able to convince you, and I think you're a very intelligent person when it comes to this game, and again, our relationship being involved as well, that someone was able to convince you that I had the secret deal with Cara that was somehow going to, circumvent the deal or the relationship that you and I had in place, especially when we had already thrown her in.
Yeah, I should have talked to you about it, honestly. But the other element to the equation is that I came in working with Jordan, and
now the truth. Aha! That's what I wanted to get to. That's the truth. Thank you. It's Jordan. And that's what I'm saying. Like, and this is again what I kind of said after it happened is I'm like, I will never be able to, because again, you guys definitely have a very long-standing special fucking bond, and I would never be able to, be above or be in front of the relationship you guys have. However, what you need to understand, and I hope you've understood after this season, is where you place him in your hierarchy and the way you look out for him and the way you take care of him is not reciprocated on his behalf, especially this season. Because you were definitely not at the top. I'd like to think that I was your top guy in the game, okay? You were not his, or you were my, I'd like to think that, especially coming in, you were my top girl, I was your top guy. I mean, you saw the way that shook down, especially in the beginning. It was not reciprocated. You were at the top of his list. And the proof in that is when you and I were basically on the block for potentially going in. I believe it was when Josh and Jenny won. Jordan was one of the ones that was in their ear trying to convince them to throw the two of us in. Now, that might have been because he didn't want me in the game. This was a shot at me, but because we were because you and I were paired up, he was willing to potentially lose you as collateral damage in order to get rid of me. So I just want you to understand that it's like, yes, this guy that you're out here, and because he had deals with everybody in the fucking house. So if anyone, that weren't known to you, at least you knew the girls I was working with. Yes, you were one of them. But yeah, Aviv, Rachel, which got, more set in stone as the game went on. Emily was gone, so that didn't matter. Jenny. But I mean, Jordan had his fucking hands in everyone's pockets, was wheeling and dealing with everyone.
I think it's easy to go back and say that, but he really didn't.
He really didn't what?
He really didn't have his hands in every bucket, as you're claiming. I mean, he won the challenge. He literally won every
What female, challenge. When you were still there before you left, what female wasn't he working with?
He was not working with any of them.
He pulled all of you guys aside.
Tori.
No,
except for Tori.
This is not true. When you were still there, Laurel, he pulled all of you girls aside, okay? Once shit went down, once shit went sideways, when him and Tori ended up targeting me, he pulled all of you guys aside separately. Rachel, actually, maybe not Jenny. Jenny's the only one. You, Aviv, and Rachel were all pulled aside. And he's like, I want to work with all of you guys. I want to make deals with you guys. Okay. Maybe you and him already had a deal. But Laurel, you can ask him. I've had them both on my podcast, and they've literally said this verbatim. So
he never came to me and
he
said,
didn't have to. He didn't have to. You guys already were working together. My point is that you held him in much higher regard and much higher esteem in the game and were willing to do more for him than he was for you.
He, to what I feel, he did and still does to this day do everything that he possibly can for me in the game, outside of the game. And that is invaluable to me. He has my back in situations where I'm not in the room. And he
tried to convince them to throw us in, Laurel. What don't you understand about that? He was literally one of the ones that was spearheading the mission to try and have, Michelle was as well, to try and convince Josh and Jenny to throw you and I in. How is that having your back?
This is why I gave you a 1.
Why?
Because what you're doing right now.
Speaking the truth?
It's not though. It's not. It's a little bit misinformed.
I'm just saying if it was the other way around, okay, and you were paired up with him, there is a 0% chance, even if it meant getting rid of him, that I'm going to fucking throw you to the wolves. Just saying. Just saying. We can move on.
Well, I will say this before we move on.
Okay.
I know this now. I think that, I think that you're brilliant in the game, Johnny. Okay. And I would never expect you I only expect to take care of myself. Right. So to even have you extend yourself in any way, shape, or form, it's foreign to me. And now that is established, I think that it's a different, it shifts things for me. It moves things for me. I also made a mistake. I did make a mistake, a big one, because you are somebody that I can go and talk to. And, I should have come to you and I should have said very simply what it was I was thinking, but I was so checked out at that point. So, you're right. I should have come to you because it's a very easy solution to fix and to talk about. And it's something that could just be handled, in 4 seconds. And I didn't do that. And that's my fault. But also like I wasn't in the right state. And
you know what you should have said that could have invalidated my entire argument that I just made?
What?
Your best friend Leroy gave you a 1. I was actually waiting for you to drop that bomb on me, but I'll just drop it on myself because I feel like because I don't want to rake you over the coals too hard.
Don't worry about it. I think what I'm learning from this conversation is in the future, just as you expected other people to come and talk to you before an elimination or anything like that, I think communication is key. So if I was very high on your list, then you should have told me.
I fucking thought you knew it already. I didn't think I had to.
Well, Jordan and I had many conversations, about like orders of certain things.
I'm sure you did. He had that conversation with a lot of people.
No, he did. Yeah. No, he didn't.
All right. You're right. It was you. It was always you. It was always you. He had nobody else that he was looking out for. Which is why when I literally fucking put him on the spot at the bar, the guy literally fucking choked. He was like, I can't say anything because everything Bananas is saying right now is correct. He tried to Homer Simpson his fucking way into that couch, dude, because he knew it was like, uh-oh.
You're saying this just because he won and he didn't.
I'm not. I'm not saying
an amazing game.
No way. I'm not saying this because he won. I'm saying this because the guy didn't fucking need any more help to win. Okay. The guy needed no more help. He literally had every fucking girl in his pocket. Okay. Except for Michelle. She was the only one that would have voted for him. He never saw an elimination the entire game. Now, a lot of that is because, he played a fantastic game and he won a lot of challenges. And the only way to be sent in was for females to send you in. And because he was winning, it was in no female's best interest to send him in. Okay. Because then it's like, well, what's the point? How's this going to help my game? Then we make it to a final that basically is tailor-made for him to fucking win. So I'm not saying that he won this shit. There was nobody that was even going to get close. I could have won first place in every single checkpoint, and I still probably could have lost because of my karma. Thank you, Laurel and Leroy. But fucking no, I'm not saying that because he won. I'm just saying that because it's like, I just hope that, again, I feel like I'm having the Michelle and Devin conversation again. I just hope that you understand that maybe the way that your allegiance to him is a little bit more solid than his allegiance to you. That's all I'm saying.
But do you see how the common thread is you? That you're trying to, that you're saying this about Michelle and Devin, right? And you're saying this about me and Jordan. Yep. And that common thread that's your thought process, but it's not correct.
It's not correct. Okay. It's not correct.
It's not correct. It's not correct. And so I guess that's part of the reason why I gave you one is because I saw that shift and I saw, you were doing what you could, right? You were doing what you could to weaken Jordan's game and strengthen yours. But
No, I wasn't. I actually wasn't. I was trying once you were gone. That's the thing. I realized I couldn't do anything to weaken Jordan's game. Because again, like I don't know if you were still there for this conversation. I think you probably weren't because I know you wouldn't have been on board. But I remember talking with Aviv, Jenny, and Rachel. And I was like, guys, if there is any way in any fucking realm of the universe that we could find a way to have me lose and then have Jordan sent in against me, I would rather see him in an elimination than in a final. And again, because
you did say that. Okay,
but because of the way the game worked and because of the way things were stacked up, that was never going to happen because no one was going to throw him in. So yes, obviously, I want to be in a better. I want to be in a better position. And I thought here's the, I guess, the big glaring difference between the two of our games. Okay, I felt like my game was open and transparent of exactly who I was working with and whose backs I had. I think I made that completely obvious, especially once the game went individual. He, on the other hand, did not, which is why Nia was so fucking taken aback when I exposed him at the bar and was basically like, Nia, where do you think you fall on his list? You don't even crack the top 5. Because even Nia thought that she was in a better position. And then when she confronted him, guess what? He told her, no, you're not. So my point is that, yes, you can say that, like, okay, I wanted to try and, put myself in a better position than him. But the only way I was doing that was just exposing what he was already doing. Because again, I felt like he was leading a lot of people to believe that they were higher up or on his list at all than where they actually were. Whereas like, I felt like I at least was pretty open and transparent about who I was working with and where they stood.
Yeah, I mean, I think that he did do that in certain regards, but people weren't having conversations, you know what I mean? And you brought that to light. And then, that caused a little bit of a shift in how some people felt. But, that I just, for me, that doesn't apply to me.
All right. Well, listen, enough Jordan talk, okay? Sick of this guy. Beats me in challenges, fucking monopolizes my podcasts. Steals my girls.
But Johnny, I do want to say this.
Okay.
You and Jordan and CT are literally the top men to work with on the show. And so it's like splitting hairs with respect to like you guys' talent, your skill, what you bring to the table, your shrewdness, your intelligence. Like you guys are it. It's you. So like, I hope that, just because that happened doesn't make you like feel any less. You are one of the best people to fucking work with on the show. Although it's hard to trust you sometimes. That's my biggest gap, right? Yeah. That's my biggest gap. I know I can trust Jordan. Like I know I can.
Even though I just laid out an entire case as why you shouldn't. You're like, but I know I can.
Of why I can't trust Jordan?
It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. Thank you, though. I appreciate you giving us our flowers. I agree. We are a 3-headed monster. One of our heads is just a little more handsome than the other two, but, that's for another discussion. Episode 1 of the reunion. Well, before we get to okay. It seemed like Ryan, Cara, and Michelle all had a lot to say as it relates to you.
On the reunion or on the show?
On the reunion. I mean, on the reunion, hold on. Let me just, you ready?
Yeah.
Okay.
I kind of feel that a lot gets placed on me by Cara, and I don't necessarily deserve all of that.
I have a question. Do you both feel like you play a role in these rage fights that you have, or is it 100% you and 0% you?
We both get under each other's skin. So it doesn't matter what you do and how you poke the bear or whatever. There's just certain places you don't go. And you on the challenge have gone so low to people.
What do you say to that, Laura?
That, I feel like, is a reflection of the experiences that she's had in her life, and that's why I wish her love and peace and healing.
Where do we go from here?
I made a lot of good friends this season. I had a lot of good times. I would like this to be buried along with that one clip of her hugging me. Like,
I agree.
I just want all of this to end, and I want to have fun and enjoy my new friendships and my life, and I'm happy, and I want that gone. We're good.
Would you sign up for another show if Laurel was a part of it?
Yeah, nothing's gonna stop me.
Okay.
I'm
same?
used to, like, my entire career,
You wouldn't do one with Cara?
I don't like doing seasons with her because I loved doing a season when she wasn't there, honestly, because it was really nice to just not have that weight.
We are not sisters. I want to get out of that narrative for the rest of my career on the challenge. I want off of this crazy train, and I'm done.
Regardless of that, I hope that she finds peace and happiness.
All right, a lot to unpack there. The sister narrative she wants to undo. She wants off the crazy train. Is she help steer the crazy train, though? I mean, is she at the helm as well, or what? What are your thoughts on that clip?
She's the captain of the crazy train. I mean, honestly, the reason why I get such negative backlash is because of the things that she says about me. Like, she's just sitting there making up rumors before the show even started about things that happened that didn't even happen. And so now there's, you know, some people out there that think one thing happened when it didn't happen. They think there's legal issues. There's no legal issues here. We got into an argument. We got into a fight. She said some things. I said some things. I said nothing out of line. I said, I can't even remember at this point. It was so far back. The only thing that I did was raise my voice. I think that you said because I'm a big person, I'm a tall person, that I shouldn't be raising my voice like that, and I shouldn't be letting somebody get under my skin, essentially. But she questioned everything that I ever did in the past for her, where I went out of my way to help her out of a really tough situation. And all she does is go and put herself back in those exact same situations. And it's like, you know, after I realized that is kind of what the situation is, you know, she doesn't really have anything positive to say. And so why would I want to be around that? You know what I mean? And I agree with everything that I, you know, just like in that clip. You know, what happened between me and Michelle had nothing to do with her. Cara is always constantly trying to get at me and always focusing on me, trying to beat me, fine, whatever. And like, you know, there is potentially a complex there that, you know, bothers her, that if I'm playing the game, that it gets in the way of her playing the game. And so, you know, we're competition at the end of the day. And at one point in my life, I tried to forego all of the reasons why I, you know, kind of wasn't keen to who she was and just be, you know, more forgiving. And then they ran with the sister narrative. You know what I mean? It's like,
is that also a narrative? Is that also a narrative that you like want to see kind of die out as well? The sister narrative. I mean, do you think that that's a fair?
No, it doesn't bother me because, you know, it's correct in the people that you're closest with are the ones that like get under your skin the most. What I don't want is the evilness that is attached to that girl, essentially. Like the things that she specifically talks about with respect to how she describes situations and like, you know, it's so hard to describe, but just, you know, even I think that she posted a clip about like, you know, kind of the argument that we got into, and the way that she describes it is just not, I don't know, Johnny. I don't know. I don't like her thought processes. And I don't like that she's literally like essentially always driving the needle towards me, you know, and if it wasn't me, it would be someone else, right? Like finding a way to complain, finding a way to, you know, the people that are on the challenge know how she is. And, you know, the
fans this season had a very, you know, obviously between All Stars and this season had a very visceral reaction again, towards, I guess, you know, the way that you, you know, came off and to the argument that you guys had. So what do you want to kind of set the record straight as far as, they're concerned? What do you want to say to them? Are there any, rumors or accusations about potentially the way you are or your mental health? Is there anything that you just want to kind of like dispel and put out there?
Well, I think there was a rumor going around that like she got pulled out of the house for days and was like in this situation that was like traumatic for her because of something that I did or said, when the reality of the situation is she was essentially coming at me and saying like, honestly, it was so long ago now that I don't even really remember all of the details. But, the one thing that set me off was she said something like, that I don't remember. But what I do want to say is that she was not pulled out of the house for days. She was not like brought anywhere else. She tried to get me kicked out of the house and they refused because I didn't do anything wrong. And they actually offered me a therapist. Because of the situation hurt both of us. The reality of the situation is I witnessed some things too in the past that were really hurtful. And that situation came to light in that argument. And, in the house where you're at, right? These things happen. People get into arguments, but what I don't like is like afterwards, it's almost like you can't even have like a conversation about it or like come to a common ground with her. Mm-hmm. She does this thing where now she's, trying to paint me in a certain way. And normal human beings would have a discussion about it, but she like left the room that we were in, Johnny. You know what I mean? Like little things like that. It's like, even you and I can have a discussion and, we've gotten into arguments and then I can apologize and you can apologize or we can come to some common ground. There's none of that there. There's none of that there. And that's the shameful part, honestly. And, at this point, whatever. Whatever.
All right. Well, anything else? I mean, any last word? Because I know you guys said on the reunion show, the sister thing, we were putting a nail in that coffin. You said you'd be fine doing the season, or she said she'd be fine doing the season. Wait, who said they would do a season? She said she'd do a season with you. You said you wouldn't want to do a season with her. Does that how you feel?
I just prefer not, because look what happens. Look what I'm tied into. I don't want to talk about this. I don't want to deal with this. I don't want to deal with that BS. I don't want to, you know what I'm saying? Mm-hmm. Like there's so much more that goes down. It's almost like impossible to explain, but then like, spreading things that didn't actually happen and, talking about things in a way that are really potentially, damaging when that's not what happened. It's like, go get the help that you need and stop trying to put it on everybody else. Because you and I, Johnny, know what goes on, like not on the television show. Mm-hmm. And most of us on the cast know what is going on, like that most people aren't privy to. So like that's also part of it. It's like, that's frustrating to me, that she tries to like put a different story out than what it is. And also I didn't have any of my close friends there this season, like that would have my back.
What do you mean, Jordan? What are you talking about, dude? He's fucking your number 1, 2, Jordan, 3 through 7.
Well, Jordan was there. Absolutely. But like, none of my girlfriends, you know what I mean? None of my girlfriends that I can actually have fun with that.
I thought I was one of your girlfriends. We'd do activities together and stuff. Make bracelets.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh my God.
All right. Well, listen, I think everyone, gets it. Wish the two of you the best, whether that's, friends, not friends.
We're not tied together. Let's just not tie us together anymore.
Let's
That would be
untie
great.
you guys. Let's untie you guys. All right. The reunion, the episode, I want your opinion on the big Amanda surprise. Weren't expecting that. Kind of love the setup for that. I love a good fucking, it was almost like a blindside in a way where it's like, let's get everybody, Devin and, Tori and Michelle and everyone to start talking shit on the person that's literally sitting backstage. She comes out. Everyone was shocked. And this is what Amanda had to say.
Mandy. And the reason why he's saying that is probably just because I called him out on his relationship.
That would be correct.
You're not a fan of that union?
I don't know how authentic it is. So who knows? I mean, Devin is an actor. I believe you should be in Hollywood, but that's a compliment.
So Michelle, what's your reaction to what
I know Amanda hates me. I've never been more comfortable with myself than I am right now because of him. And that's it, period.
Don't you say that with every guy you've been with on every season that you've been with?
When have you ever heard me say that?
I don't know. I thought you wanted to be in a relationship with all of them.
Oh.
Things are getting fiery now with Amanda here. Let's keep moving, guys.
Wow. Never a dull moment with Amanda. Any validity to what she said. Because in a way, it sort of echoed what I had to say in the beginning. So what are your thoughts? I actually said this as well. I said this on the reunion, and I'll say it again. Part of me thinks, all right, there's two ways to view the Michelle and Devin relationship where it stands. It's either legit and they actually have found love and want to be together, or more likely scenario, because everything's always about me, this is the longest play and the longest stunt ever to keep this charade up, because if they broke up, then they'd risk having me be right. What do you think about that?
You were like a wind-up toy. Swear to God. You have not faltered from when you started this shit months ago in Vietnam in the bed next to me.
Yes.
It's fascinating. It's fascinating.
I'm just saying, they could be right. I mean, because you know what that would mean. If they somehow, if things went awry, it would be like, oh my God, not only are we like breaking up, but Bananas is going to appear to be right.
They've met each other's families. They've been spending time together. That's as real as it gets for me.
Deep fake. You really, it's like when you bring a mail order bride in from like another country, like they come and they interview and they need to make sure, like the lengths that people will go to make this marriage look official. It's pretty wild. They'll be like, what's her favorite color? What's the mother's maiden name? What size shoe is she?
You're next level. I swear. You're next level.
I'm just joshing, sort of. No,
okay.
Seriously though, what are your thoughts? Obviously, like, Amanda, they had a falling out. Amanda's never been a fan of Michelle.
Right.
Devin and Amanda had a friendship that seems like that's, donezo. Do you think Amanda is saying that because she's, pissed off at Devin? She's finding a way to kind of get under their skin, or do you think that there's some validity to that?
I think that Amanda doesn't like Michelle because she feels that Michelle went behind her back and burned her. And so once you burn Amanda, she's got you in a specific position and she's not going to take you out of that position, potentially, unless maybe there was like a conversation. Anything's possible, right? But as of right now, I think that, Amanda has a stance on what she feels about Michelle. And now that's trickling over into Devin, because I don't know that maybe she talked to a couple of people and then some people said that Devin was an actor, maybe because of on X on the Beach or something like that. I'm not sure. It could be a whole big miscommunication. But what I will say is that, they're meeting each other's families and they're, spending time together, and whether a relationship works out or it doesn't, and whatever, I think that they like each other, but
they fucking sure hope so.
And I think good for them, right? Like I don't really have an opinion on like their relationship per se. I don't have as strong an opinion as you do. I don't think it's fake per se.
I never said that. I never said it is. I actually said on the reunion show, I have egg on my face because it appears to be authentic. But I also said there is a chance, I'd say 70-30.
And you're waiting because you cannot wait. You have a sign made up.
Here's what's great. If they break up in 10 years, I'll be like, I was right. They waited they wanted to make sure they waited long enough until the heat was off of them. But I will, if they don't get married, have babies, and die together, I'm going to say that I was right.
You kill me. Kill me.
How'd you feel about, and you were there, Tori, this was another big, obviously point of contention for me on the show. Tori taking ownership over Devin's game, which really solidified Bananas Angels, which potentially made her place fourth in the final. Do you think how do you feel about that idea and that kind of situation that transpired? Do you think by Tori going against me, taking ownership of Devin's game, do you think that was a big factor in the creation of Bananas Angels and her having a very difficult road in the final?
Yeah, I mean, I think that any girl that messes with you has a really difficult road, which is why maybe...
We talk about the game or dating? Because I think those are both accurate.
I think both. Based on what I know. I think both, Johnny.
Oh, boy. Whoa. What?
My lips are sealed.
Okay.
But what I will say is, I think that they suffered for going against you. Michelle and Tori suffered for going against you, and the people that were close with you won. And I'm sure Michelle definitely had a really hard time with it. It was a hard pill to swallow for her to like drop down, from second place to third place. And I'm sure that was a moment where you were reveling. I
felt like I won. I said this right, but I felt like I won.
Yeah. And I mean, then that's good enough,
I won. I don't care what they say. You know what? I will take the Angels winning because, again, we're all, part and parcel. Okay. Jordan claims that he was a pawn in the Vacation Alliance. Is this accurate? Because it didn't seem like he was a pawn. It seemed like he was very comfortable being all mixed up in that alliance. And what's a better alliance, a Vacation Alliance or Bananas Angels? There's only one right answer.
Oh, definitely Bananas Angels. 100%. But I like Nani, and I don't know if Nani is considered in the Vacation Alliance. I don't know.
No.
Nani.
No. No. Oh, we're just talking about the people that were here this season.
Oh, okay.
Tori, Josh, Casey, Anissa, I think were the main ones. But then Devin was looped into. Oh no, Devin. I'm sorry, Devin.
Oh, Devin.
But then because Devin was in
the
it,
Vacation Alliance is basically Devin, Tori,
Josh, Casey.
Yeah, Devin, Tori, Josh, Casey, and Michelle, essentially.
And then, but that's what I'm saying. But then they started pulling more. They then kind of started pulling more people in.
Yeah, Jordan didn't like some of the things that they were trying to push, right? And they would try and rope him in on it, and then he, I don't know, felt in a difficult spot. So I do know that. But regardless, I mean, they didn't win.
Speaking of the Vacation Alliance, speaking of pressure being put on certain people, I want to play you this clip from the reunion show. As it relates to Josh.
Josh, how did you become the Vacation Alliance fall guy?
Stop trusting these people, man.
Why is everything your fault, dude? everything this entire season, somehow you were responsible for.
I
That's
don't-
what I want to
I'm
know.
still trying to wrap my head around that one.
You got accused by your alliance of being the biggest floater in the house. When I'm sorry, but the mask was the biggest floater in the house.
The mask.
I'm not part of the Vacation Alliance, though.
But I'm saying, the same people that gave Josh for playing that game never said a word to you.
Johnny,
No,
when
so
he
I do-
saved
I'm
you,
so much smarter
Johnny,
than
when
him that I
when
did it
Josh
way
saved
better.
You said that you were going to use his guilt against him.
Yeah.
I never said, Josh, if you're my friend, pledge allegiance right now. You guys did that to him.
Let me just break it down because everyone's saying that we're blaming Josh. In the situation where Rachel had the opportunity to save Casey from going against Tori, he didn't make a strong enough pitch.
Did.
In your opinion.
I
our-
did, Devin.
It's not about convincing her, which is why it's under internal, not external. You
Didn't realize I was external. Got it.
I'm over this.
You basically wanted Josh to turn on me, which was a terrible strategy for him.
If you're supporting someone that's coming for
I wasn't
us,
coming for you. You
Yeah,
put
when did
yourself
that- no, that
as
wasn't
you've
the beginning
always
of the
You
game,
weren't
dude.
coming
as a
for me?
target.
That was not at the beginning of the
You
game.
weren't coming for me.
At the beginning of the game, no. That's
Listen,
the point.
it's a little.
All right. Do you feel like Josh this season was held to a different standard than other people? Do you feel like he got an unfair amount of criticism placed on him by his alliance for not doing their bidding because it wasn't necessarily in his best interest?
Yes,
Okay.
do. They tried to hammer down on him. And he did a pretty good job of standing up to that, because that's what that type of alliance needs, right? They need other people to be doing
Their dirty work.
convincing and the manipulation, right? The work. Whereas, that only works in certain regards with certain people. And Josh has his own mind, and he's proven that time and time again. So, it didn't work with him, And so, yeah, sure, he's part of the alliance, but also if he's making up his own mind, then it's making them mad. But, what's the point in an alliance, I guess, if you're not on the same page? You know what I mean? Like,
I've maintained, and I've actually said this to basically everyone that I've had on that was part of that, who accused him of being a floater. Tori, Kyland, who else? Guess that's really it. There might be some other names out there. That I was like, the reason I felt like the alliance, the Vacation Alliance, was so critical of Josh and the people he was working with is because he had connections to people that they did not. If, say, Devin, for example, was in the position that Josh was, where he had not only the people in his alliance, but me, Rachel, other, people on the other side of the house, which he did not. There is a 0% chance Devin does not exploit every single one of those relationships that he has. I felt like the reason they were so critical of Josh is because he had and nurtured relationships throughout the game that benefited his game, but not necessarily the alliances. And again, this goes back to the prime example of kind of what you were just saying. When you and I were up for elimination, and the alliance was trying to put this pressure on Josh to throw you and I in. But I'm like, guys, this is very easy for you guys because if that move happens, guess what? Even though you guys were responsible for it, the heat doesn't come down on you. The heat comes down on Josh. Same with Josh trying to convince Rachel not to throw in Kylan and Casey. Guess what? That heat then falls on Josh. Just like them trying to convince Josh to not throw in Corey when Theo was going to do that anyways. It's all on him. So it was like very easy, I feel like, for the alliance to be like, Josh, do our dirty work. Do what we want you to do. You take all the responsibility for it. And if you don't, we're going to say that you're not a, loyal follower.
yeah, and it didn't work.
Didn't work, but I'm saying, do you feel, I guess you kind of already answered this, but do you feel like that was kind of how they operated? It was like, Josh, like, play our game. Don't play your game, play our game. Play what's best for all of us, not necessarily you. And then if you don't, we're going to accuse you of being a shitty friend.
I think that, there's certain people that have to rely on alliances in order to get done what they need to get done, right? And then when it comes down to it, they can't back themselves up. So Josh was next in line to be able to. So basically, it was his alliance working against him, which is like, why would you even want to work with that alliance then when you're not really a value? Because the way that I see it is that then they're using that to be able to say, oh, well, we're going to throw Josh in, or this is going to be a reason why it was because he was doing that. And so it's like one of those turn the needle things where you just use any excuse to send someone in or cut them loose. And they would have found that excuse either way.
Do you think there is anything that Josh could have done or said? Devin said you didn't make a strong enough argument to Rachel. Is there anything that you think Josh could have done to?
Yeah, want a challenge.
No. I'm saying those two, the two decisions that were the most that were the most critical, or that he caught the most heat for, was us not going in. Actually, it was three. Us not going in. Him not convincing, because he could have thrown us in, which he didn't. Him not convincing Rachel to not throw in Casey and Kylan, and then him not convincing Theo to not throw in Corey. Do you think any of those decisions, especially the second two, do you think there's any way, shape, or form that even if he tried, he could have either swayed Theo or Rachel?
No.
Yeah.
No. So, I mean, that's what I'm trying to say, is that it's just a way for that alliance to say, oh, you did this wrong, so that they can put him in a certain place in the order.
Yeah. Make him the scapegoat.
That's it. It's and then send him in, right? And right before the final, and then have him lose.
Yeah. So what you're saying is, not only is Bananas Angels a more dominant and effective alliance, we're also much more loyal and trustworthy, and we don't single each other out and place blame on each other.
Well, I would say that Bananas Angels Alliance really came out on top. So, for the people that didn't pick that alliance, they
sorry about
it. Which is, it's fun. It's fun to watch, like, the people that you're either working with or you feel that you're on their side. It's fun to watch them win.
Yes.
Like, it's almost like you win when the people that you genuinely, gravitate towards, they come out on top. It feels like you win. And sometimes that's all I care about when I go out early on a season. I'm like, oh, like, these people at least took it home. They deserve it. It's such a nice feeling. So, I mean, you should be proud of that too, because you played a huge role in that.
Laurel, once TJ explained to us what the final was, and he said it's going to be all swimming, and this karma vote is going to factor in, I'm like, all right, well, I'm fucked, but my girls still have a good shot. And that's kind of exactly what you just said. People were like, oh my God, why were you so excited? You placed third. Why were you so happy? And I'm like, because my team won. And I was accused on another podcast of being petty, because even once we got to the final, I still had a line drawn in the sand and was still playing for my side. And it's like, that's how this game works. I wasn't being petty. You don't stop playing against the other side once you get to the Super Bowl. The final is the Super Bowl. And I am going to pull for my side, and I am going to root against the side I was working against in the final, obviously, because then that is going to dictate at the end of the day who played a better game and who was the better team. And I wanted to make sure that it was apparent that the team that I played with and the team that I was a part of came out on top. I don't think that's being petty. I just think that's being a fucking competitor.
You've played that way. You've played that way since the island.
Yeah. Yeah. Fuck yeah.
So, there's nothing new there. There's nothing new. There's nothing new in the way that you're, going about things. You play a tough game, and anybody who is not with you better look out. That's all I have to say.
I mean, I could say the exact same thing about you, Stucky, and I think that's why.
It's true. That's true.
I don't want to be in the way of the fucking Stucky train. I'll be like, nope, I'm good. I'm either getting on board or I'm getting the hell out of the way. And I guess maybe that's why, you know, our you know, games a lot of times run, you know, kind of along the same parallel along the same rails, is because we both approach the game from the same way, which is, like you said, you're either with us or against us. So, all right, well, listen, I'm not going to take up any more of your time. I appreciate you coming on and, you know, just kind of putting one final, bow on this season. Before I let you go, for those out there who don't already follow you or may have had a change of heart after this episode, listening to you, and, you know, you kind of really be open and honest about everything, where can they find you?
Well,
and I don't mean geographically.
Yeah. It's funny how that's where you knew my mind went. Just Instagram or Twitter, but like
Instagram or Twitter. Laurel Stucky.
Yeah. Laurel Stucky, you know, what's up?
And if you guys are ever out in the ocean, you find a phone on just kind of floating around on the bottom of the ocean. It might be Laurel's.
Yeah, with pictures of me and Jack on the back.
Ooh, Jack on the back. Love that. And if you go into the camera roll, don't swipe right, don't swipe left. Just look at that one picture, okay? All right.
Right.
Love you, Stucky. Even though in your eyes I'm a 1.
No, that's over and done with. I'm gonna do things differently. Each time.
But
I learned something.
Okay,
new.
I might be a 1 when you're sober. When you drink a lot, am I like more like, I don't know, like a 4.5 at least?
With respect to the game?
Just in general.
It's been years of me warming up to you.
Oh,
years.
All right. Well, I love you, kid. And thank you for stopping by the Death Taxes and Bananas podcast, where the tea flows like wine and my guests instinctively flock like the salmon of Capistrano. I'm Oprah and I love you.